Action. Yes, I've finally come back on lately, and just to the point that since I have found out what works with my appliances and my electronics, have finally decided that I would come back on here and finish out the rest of a series. I probably told you a while back that the series was going to end and there'd be some other things I'd be moving on to, but due to some of the stresses I have faced, I've decided to get back to working on this series again, but it has to do with these Santa Clauses here. You've seen the previous videos in the series. I'm probably going to be talking a little bit about what's going on while I'm doing it, but I just want to show y'all a little thing I'm doing today. Here you see there's a couple of places here where the body kind of ends at the edge, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of carve under the arm to make it to where it can come out a bit thinner than it otherwise could, and try to get the extra work put into these. So we're going to get started on that right here. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Might make it a little longer since I'm just a little more in the mood to say a little more, do a little more. But as I mentioned in my last video, the one about the delays, it just so happened that I was having some issues with my computer and had to kind of put things off for a while. It's been a real busy, hectic type of week, and even in the place where I work in the school system, and in my district, the district that employs me, where I work in one of the schools, it just so happened that 4 of the high schools, including the one that I work at, experienced bomb threats. And it's currently Saturday as I make this video, and this actually happened on Tuesday. And so there's been a lot going on this week. There's been a few projects I've been trying to make. It's been hard to kind of get it all done with all I've been going through and all I've had going on, all that's been coming every this and that away, but we're kind of trying to manage it pretty well. We've got a lot going on in our systems these days, and it gets a little bit difficult to deal with now and then, but we come along with it. Nothing's too easy in this world. Nothing at all. So what we do is we kind of take care of what we have and manage the things we can. Take care of what little we can when it comes. And I think as I'm coming to do these, and how it's been so long since I carved these, there's probably a thing or two that I might be missing, so I'm just going to kind of try to take it as much as I can along these edges. There's probably some things I ought to be doing first, and hopefully we can kind of get around to that as soon as we need to, as soon as it needs to be, and take care of these little issues as they will come along. I think we're getting this just fine. I think we'll need to manage it sooner or later, but I decide while I'm at it, go ahead and kind of carve along here. I do think there's some things that probably ought to be taken care of first. I forgot what I was doing here. Stressful week as it's been, but I think what we'll need to do is maybe round off down here first before we carve along these other lines, and perhaps maybe take care of these shoes here. Try to take care of that as much as we need to. So here's how it comes. Here's how it goes. I think we're going to take care of this little thing we got here. But just wanted to say that as I was out on the roads today, I had a few errands to run before going to my wood carvers meeting, which, like I've said before, it's like I've been kind of putting off McLeod's coffee shop on some Saturdays just to try to get back again with my wood carvers on Saturdays. They used to meet at McConnell Springs, and that's where they're meeting now, and it's kind of gotten to the point where, like, for the time I was not going to the meetings for a while, they were sort of doing it in a way that they were meeting out front and taking chairs out there because the gate to the park was closed. So that was where they were in just to kind of have their meetings. Usually they would have them inside the education center during the winter time, but because of COVID, the places were closed, and even the gate was too. So once they opened up back up the gate, it got to the point where during the spring and the fall, they would kind of, well, actually that was what they did before, but once they opened the gates up, they'd start coming inside the gate and having it on those picnic tables right outside the education center, and they wouldn't have anything in the winter as it was just too cold to sit outside and have meetings. So that was how it worked today. But as far as today went, I had some errands to run on the way, and I think that even on rainy days, to that matter, sometimes they cancel meetings on the rainy days because they can't meet outdoors. And so I think that was kind of, I don't know whether they met today or not, but I had to run some errands on the way. And as I was running these other errands, it just so happened that I kind of had to take another route on the way to run the errands, and trying to take a different route between these errands and the place, it just so happened that the roads were closed, so I couldn't make it down the roads. But decided, even though it's probably not been typical on a Saturday for me to go back to McLeod's coffee shop for a while because of how crowded it gets, I decided today, since I was able to and since nothing else worked out, to go down there again. And it wasn't the worst it's ever been. I tell you, the thing of it is, could very well be that maybe because of the rain and because of the weather, we probably had less of a crowd than we normally do on Saturdays. Maybe by the time I got there, most of the crowd had left. Anything could have happened. Anything could have been possible. So, at least today, it was probably a better experience than it's been on many Saturdays, and I'd say it just worked out well. It worked out fine. We managed to get through it all right. And I tell y'all that these are just busy times with work and all, because we had our bomb threats on Tuesday, and they actually happened to four of the high schools in the district I work for. It's like there are six of them all together, but only two of them didn't get the bomb threats. So it just so happened that we all evacuated outdoors to the football field, and by the end of the day, we were coming back in just to kind of put our food away and turn off our equipment. And even though we might have been parked on the campus and might have been the end of our work day, it wasn't until about half an hour later that they let us all leave. So we got done with our working time, but it was like nobody could leave just yet because they closed the roads around the school. And then finally they said if you had a car parked on campus you could leave, so they let us go. Heard a lot of good things about my friends and how this was all going, because some of them knew I was in there working, and I was at work when it happened. And I heard of an older lady who calls herself Mama to everybody who comes into McLeod's as a patron, and she was saying she heard the news about that the other day, and she was saying my baby Jonathan is in there. So I say to you all that this little work is how things come along. Maybe if I can try to carve one of these per video, coming along these extra steps we need to take, it might kind of make it so the videos can go a little longer. But I'm here to say that for the amount of time I take to make a video, I'm not sure I can really carve the step I need to all these Santas just yet. But it's just a longer way. I'd say I've heard a lot of good stories this week, heard a lot of good things, had a lot of friends to support me during my times, because during this time that we were taking all this stuff and taking all this mess, many of my friends were around on social media just to kind of show me their grace, their love, and their support. It's been quite a few days I've been messaging them and commenting on their status posts and all, but I've decided today was a good day to try to give them a break, because I think we kind of, do prefer that our friends have their space. We know they have their families to take care of and all, and their jobs to do. Some of them are doing internships. Some of them are just starting to become realtors. We know that it's a real busy time in these types of markets, because with all the stuff that's been going on with the pandemic, people just haven't been checking out houses in a long time, and it's getting back to the point where people are just starting to get to sell houses again, going out and buying houses again. Of course, I mean, with the variant we have, the pandemic's not completely over yet, but we have a governor who comes on about twice a week to talk to us, and we know for one thing that things are getting better in places, because we know how effective masks are. We have vaccines and seem to be able to manage things well. I think I've gotten it probably about as far as I need to on this one. I'm going to set it to the side here, thinking I'm going to try to come along the edges on this one here before I go too much further about it. Try to take care of the things it needs and take care of the little stuff that we need for this kind of work. It's just putting a little labor on us and making us think of the holidays to come. I kind of took my little moment just to try to send out some holiday packages lately. It's been a little different this year, and there's been some difference in how it's been with Etsy stores, and I've had to close mine as well because it's just coming to the point where this particular year shipping costs are going up for the holidays. Anything I had to order any shipping on, I decided to go ahead and order it now before the holiday rush starts. Try to get things taken care of as they need to be. There's a certain part for my computer that the computer repairman needs, and it's going to be hard for them to get it for a while because shipping is kind of backed up right now. It's kind of a week where so much is going on about these places and where they are and where people need to be, and it's like we just know that it's come to the point where there's just getting to be so much cost for fuel that it costs the shipping people and UPS so much for fuel just to get their shipping to go around. So it's just really a time when we couldn't predict what it was going to be this year. So we've kind of had to change things around and do things a little differently. Any care packages I needed to send out for the holidays, I sent them out a little early this year, explaining all the reasons why. Because once it gets to be holiday time, it's going to be harder to ship those things around, and once it gets to the point where we take care of things like that, and we know it's going to be a little different this year because I've had some different experiences with some different people this year. It's been quite an adventure with all the stuff about vaccines that's been going around on social media. We've been on there all talking to each other and telling each other our thoughts and our words, trying to be as supportive of each other as we can be. But some people just have different views about the vaccine. Some people want everybody to get it. Some people don't want anybody to be coerced. There's just all this stuff going on about people who, because they won't get it, are going to lose their jobs. And I think it's just getting to the point where some people have just kind of taken things that are about medicine and safety and turning it into politics, as my governor would state. It's a good time not to be too political as we do this carving video, because it's not what the page is about. It's not what the videos are about. As you can see, I keep looking at my watch because I'm trying to not make the video too long, trying not to take too long for it, trying to get it at a good rate, trying to keep it going at a steady pace, trying to make sure we all know what we're doing, and just try to not overdo anything, because this little world is a place where we feel free. Sometimes we know that even as far as what President Biden is saying, I mean, there's just getting to be different things about it, different things being said. He used to be our vice president during the time of President Obama's administration. And then we had Trump as our president, and Biden's our president now. So there's been a lot of changes. There kind of gets to be a lot of stuff about age that goes on. Some people just kind of have different views about the ages at which people can be president. Trump's thinking about running again in 2024. I was talking to my mom about this, and she goes like, oh, but he's an old man. Probably will realize by 2024 that he's too old. Of course, ages have changed since November around the time of the election, and around January around the time of the inauguration. But while Joe Biden is probably 79 now, he was 78 at the time he entered office, and Trump was 74 at the time we were having the conversation. I said, well, Trump's 74, so that means in 2024 he'll be 78, and Biden is currently 78. And my mom said, well, I don't know whether that's good or not. But not to get on a political agenda here, it's just a little thing about ages. I would also hope that all this stuff about ages in office wouldn't be such a political issue. I know that in the United States you have to be at least 35 years of age to be the president. And I'd be old enough to run. I'm 41. And you know, the youngest ever to be elected president was John F. Kennedy, and the youngest ever to be inaugurated president was Teddy Roosevelt. Difference is John F. Kennedy was 43 when he entered office, but he entered office upon his election. That makes him the youngest to be elected president, but Teddy Roosevelt was technically the youngest president because he entered office at the age of 42, but he only entered office when he did because he was William McKinley's vice president, and William McKinley was assassinated. And any time that a president either gets assassinated or dies of natural causes or resigns, the vice president becomes the new president. So that was quite the situation there. We know times are going to change in our lives, and we know people are going to do different things. We know that this agenda is going to change now and then, but we kind of got to just carve along merrily, because I will tell you all a little good thing I noted this week. There's a young lady who has her artwork over at local Lex Market, another place where that I've been told about, where somebody suggested I have mine, and I'd like to really work on getting it there. Don't know what it's going to take though. It could take anything. It might take some time, because I tell you, it's like it costs $125 a month to get a space there. You have a minimum to pay for of about 3 months, so that means that for the whole minimum session you'd be paying $375 for a space there. And one thing I've also heard was that in a place like that, it's like you can only expect, I forget what I heard, it was like only expect to sell 10%'s worth of however much money's worth of stuff you make and put there. So it's like if you want to make $100 there in profits, you have to have $1,000 worth of stuff there. probably have to have more than that. I mean, if you were going to make up 400 to make up for the 375, you'd have to have $4,000 worth of stuff there to sell. Some of these artists have come a long way. They've been kind of experienced in business for a long time. I may qualify as an artist, but I still have a long ways to go as far as business work is concerned, and as far as how learning that is concerned. It's going to be a lot of work to come along, but I think I'm pretty qualified and think I can pretty manage it. It's like my mama was telling me, she said, I think you're really qualified for this art business. You're just probably taking it a little too fast. You haven't been working on it that long. She's actually right about that, because I haven't been working on it probably as long as I should have, but there comes a time when you finally get wise to the point of realizing things like that. Sometimes it takes a little time to come to a realization of where you need to be in life. And many years I've tried to do many things I might not have been so qualified for, or tried to be a lot of things I probably might not have been so qualified to be, and only recently just found out that even my job, to that matter, doesn't really pay enough to cover the bills. So that's kind of why you kind of got to be creative and use your gifts to make a little extra work and make a little extra money and a little extra profit. And this shall be a long ways to go with work in the art industry, because for years I've tried to keep many jobs. There's been some that I've kept, some that I've failed to keep, some that I've quit, some I've gotten fired from, and some where, I'd tell you I could never get enough hours to begin with. So times change, times vary, and by the way, I'm getting my last bottle of water out of the fridge here. And so, get a little thirsty now and then from all the extra work. But there are some things I've learned to manage in life. There's been a lot of discussion going around social media and internet lately. There's been a few people I've been happy to keep in touch with as much as I could. Some people are grateful for it. Some people are grateful that they're my friends and grateful to have my friendship. They're grateful I keep in touch with them the way I do, because this little life is just one of those things where we all got to give each other our time. We all got to give each other our support. We all got to show each other our grace and give to each other in all our times of need, because life is short. Life's too short to be bitter, as they always say. It's kind of how my little phrase goes. It goes, I choose charity over bitterness. Because it's been a phrase that for years I would handwrite it on notes and share it around on my little cassette tapes and CDs that I'd hand around to people. The quote had a lot of meaning and seems to have meaning to people now. People understand it, people know what it means, and it's one of those things where I believe that there's always so much in life we could always choose to be bitter about. And quotes have little meanings. We know that they always say on that little meme that goes around social media where they show Bob Ross saying, "Be kind to yourself." They show Fred Rogers saying, "Be kind to others." And the little thing of Steve Irwin that says, "Be kind to animals." It's come to a point in life where all these people are deceased now, but they left us with their legacies and their memories of them and all kinds of things for us to always remember them by. For in this world, we all got a little something to live for, something to stand for. We all got to stand for something or we'll fall for anything. That's how the old Aaron Tippin song goes. It's kind of a time when I get to where I start talking a little too low sometimes. And for the things that I'm facing in this world, there comes the little moments where we have so much more to say, so much more to do. I see so much on social media these days. I mean, society is just different and people are just different. It's like they always say that there were the days when social media was a place to go to escape from the world. Now the world is a place to go to escape from the internet. It's kind of how it is with me. I have to get away from it for a while. I have to avoid seeing posts for a while. I have to avoid being surrounded by opinions for a while. Just kind of get back to doing my little craft work and my little artwork. Make this world a happy place again for other people. Show a little grace and mercy here and there and make people think of us as human beings. We all gotta act like human beings. We all gotta treat each other like human beings. It's like the old saying goes, animals are people too. So, it's time we all consider each other, make each other happy, make each other glad. I will say there are probably the points in my life where sometimes I might not always put others first as I should. Sometimes I don't always say the nicest things as I should. Sometimes I might kind of stumble here and there, say a little word or two that might be a little careless now and then. It's always good for us to kind of watch our tongues, watch what we say, watch how we act, practice what we preach. Because when we enter another world, we'll see things differently. Sometimes the language can change. Sometimes the barriers can change. Sometimes all the little thoughts can change. But this world ends up becoming a place where, like Louis Armstrong always saying, a wonderful world. Say to myself, what a wonderful world. People are always out there saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. This little world will come to an end. Make itself happy. Make itself in. You know, the Bible tells us that heaven and earth shall pass away, but his words shall never pass away. We know that we have a better eternity with God. We're probably not always going to have the things that are of this earth when we get to heaven, but nonetheless, the Lord Jesus himself will be there. He will be there to keep us happy. that will be all that will matter to us there. Got little happy things on this earth, things to rejoice in, things to be glad in. You know, the Lord gives us a new breath to breathe every day. He wakes us up to see another morning, see another day. We know in the Psalms He tells us that He gives His beloved sleep. He provides us food to eat and water to drink, shelter to live under. In this world, there's people who don't even have the things they need. It's kind of like how this world can go. This world can come to an end. Happy are the people who do the will. Psalm 112 says, "Blessed is he who fears the Lord, who finds delight in His commands." We know that we live each day happy as we can be, and we try to walk in the steps of our Savior, try to follow our Savior and King, try to live our lives from His blessed example, and how happy is the songs that we sing. This little work shall come to no ends, and it shall be made whole and right, and make it so we all can live in a happy way. We know that earth will last for a very long time. You know that there comes a time when Jesus will come again. As we all know, it was said, promised in the Old Testament that there would be a coming of the Messiah. It was even told when He'd come what year it would be. But then we come to notice that there comes the time when, for the New Testament, about Jesus' second coming, He says, nobody knows when it will be, not the angels in heaven, not even the Son of God, but only God the Father knows when it will be. We know one thing, that one reason why the devil is working on this earth the way he is, because he knows his time is short. And knowing his time is short, he'll try to do anything he can to try to mess things up while he can. He doesn't know when the day is going to come that the Lord Jesus is going to return to earth, cast Him in the lake of fire, where the beast and the false prophet are also thrown. There's a little passage about that you find in Revelation chapter 20, in verses 7 through 10. We know the devil knows when the Lord is coming. Not when He's coming, but he knows what's going to happen when the Lord comes back. He knows He is going to be destroyed. He knows He's going to meet His doom. And as I say, the time shall come when we shall all be carried away in a twinkling of an eye. That's how the old song goes, like, I'm going to be gone in a twinkling of an eye. I'm going to be gone. Won't have time to say goodbye. I'm going to be gone. Could be while I'm singing this song. I'm going to be gone, and it won't be long. I'm going to be gone. This old world's not getting better every day. It's getting worse. So much fighting and confusion going on down here on earth. But I don't let it bother me, because I'm not here to stay. I know my Lord is coming soon, and I'll be caught away. Could be just any morning. It could be just night or noon. We don't know just when he's coming, but we know he's coming soon. I can say with calm assurance this whole world's not my home. One of these days you're going to look for me. Praise God, I'm going to be gone. We know little things are going to happen in this world until then. I do want to kind of get back to little things I was talking about a while ago. One young lady whose stuff I bought really encouraged me. She said it really made her day that I purchased her stuff at the market, and from her point of view and from her point of encouragement, she said she thought I was going to have my stuff there fairly soon. This is just one of those times when I'm working on a lot of stuff to get together to have there, because it's going to take a lot of stuff to really be able to keep your space going there. Somebody's going to assist you in something. Might as well be something good. As y'all can see here, I've already carved out the part I needed to of 3 of those things. I do think that given the fact that that was a whole lot more carving to do, it might be a good idea for me to try to close up here for right now. It might be another day or 2 before I get on YouTube to upload this video, but there's going to be a lot to say when it goes up. I'm going to be grateful to keep this going. Be grateful that my test video passed, and that the way I have of uploading things and trying to do it, I have figured out that it's going to work. It's going to work for good. And in Romans 8:28 it says, and yes, God makes all things work together for the good